First, we're going to look at the Keyword Master tool and how to set up a selection. We're going to do this first because this is generally the first step for setting up any kind of campaign or audit, because it helps build a comprehensive keyword list that you will be able to expand or modify prior to setting up any audits or campaigns. You can access the module from here. Now, this really lets you evaluate a set of keywords that you want to track so you really understand the scope and demand for them in a specific market. So to get started, we're going to click on Add Manage or Set Up Selection. And the first thing we're going to do is name our selection. So for this particular example, we're going to go with Hugo Boss, because that's the brand we'll be looking at. And you can also classify it into a group for better organization, or if you don't have a group, you can always leave it as unclassified. We want to make sure that we get all the related keywords to the subject, so we're going to click on this here. But for the purpose of this example, I don't want to skew the results, so I'm going to take out the branded keywords, and instead I'm going to put in more generic searches that also gives a good range of the products that they sell. So women's suits, belts, and shoes. Next, we need to select the keyword language and the country from which you want to collect your data from. So for the UK market and English keywords, we want to select .co.uk. Down here, you get an estimation of the number of keywords that will be generated in the search and the cost associated to it, which would be if you have enough credits. And when it tells you that you do have sufficient credits, we can approve of the search. Now, it's just going to take some time to load. So now that everything has been loaded, on the left-hand side, you can see all the categories and all of the keywords under these categories. When you click on any of them, all of the keywords within the category will appear on the right-hand side. And over here, you have subcategories and all of the keywords within this category that have been subcategorized. So you're always going to have some kind of irrelevant keywords within the category. So what we're going to try and do is delete as many of them as we can. And there are different ways of doing this. So we could either do it in bulk or individually. So if you have to do something in bulk, you can look at the subcategories over here. And for example, if you do not rent your suits, you just click on this and delete. All of the keywords within this selection will be deleted. Another way of doing this is that if you don't want to be associated with the word cheap, you can just click on it and all of the keywords will appear over here. You can select it all in bulk, select an action, and delete keywords. Another cool way of doing this is that if you spot a recurring keyword, so for example, I can see the brand Next a lot, you can select it over here in the filter section and this will get filtered through the list. You just select all of the keywords with the word Next in it, select an action, and delete the keywords. Now, the reason why we do this is because we really want to narrow down our keyword list as much as possible so that only the most relevant keywords are included in our selection. Another interesting feature is that we can further subcategorize within these categories. For example, when you have suits and you want to create a further subcategory, you can click on the three dots here, click on Add Categories, and you get redirected here, where you could either manually enter these categories or use our platform's category suggestions. So as you can see, we give you some suggestions here alongside with the number of keywords that are associated with these categories, and you can select anything that you would want and click Create Categories. So this essentially gives you a hierarchy view within topic categories. So when you click into men's suits and then you go into suits again, you can see the little subcategories over here. A little tip is that you could also select keywords and do a whole bunch of other actions with them that does not really include deleting or subcategorizing them. So you could just select them like that, go to select an action, and over here you have a whole bunch of options that you could select from. What's really cool is that you could find further suggestions, either move these to a different category that has already been created, or even choose a different language. So if you have presence in different countries, you can always add another language to these specific keywords. So this is basically how you can use our auto categorization to narrow down your keyword list and ensure that you get the most relevant keywords in your selection. Now that you know how to categorize your keywords, let's look into the columns on the interface, what they mean and how they can help you. First off, we got the keywords column over here that, after narrowing down, now has all the keywords that we want to include in our selection. The size column shows you the exact number of words in the keyword phrase. This column is really cool because it shows you the intention behind the keywords that are being used on the search engine. Here you have the language that you selected, which you could also change the date that it was added in here, and the categories under which each of these keywords come under. Two of the best features of the Keyword Master tool are the search volumes and trends columns, which you need to opt in for. But what the tool basically does is it gives you this information that takes a little bit of time, but also uses your credits. So in order to get this information as quickly and economically as possible, you need to narrow down your keyword list to have only the relevant ones in there. We're going to look at adding on more keywords to the ones automatically generated by the Keyword Master. To do this, we click on the plus button here and go to Keywords. That redirects us here, and you can add keywords in different formats. So you could either manually do it or go to a MyPostio tool. So this lets you import keywords from another tool within MyPostio, like the SEO Visibility Audit. For example, if you did an audit on a topic similar to this one and added some keywords in there that you want to include in this selection, you could always do that. The CSV import is most useful when you want to import keywords in bulk, but you obviously need a list. So you could always download an example file like this, and then you can follow this format before uploading it. So this is pretty self-explanatory what needs to be filled in over here. You just follow this format. For the search engines, MyPostio covers a large number of them, so whichever one you want to track your keywords on, we probably do cover it, so it'll all be good. The device, of course, desktop. You can also change this to mobile if you would like, and country, whatever you would like if you want to do a geographical search. Next, we're going to look at the URLs tab. So let's just make sure that we put the URL in there, ensure that the number of keywords that we're going to extract is at least 100. And over here, we need to make sure that we're looking at the UK market and for the keywords to be in English. Once the keywords are extracted, they could be automatically added to an existing category or not if you would not like to. You can also collect the search volumes here. Down here, it tells you that out of 20,000 keywords, your consumption is 2,171, and because you have sufficient credits, you get an additional 100 added in there. Once all this is done, you click on Add Keywords, and this will obviously take some time to load, and you can see the loading time here under Share Logs. Now that all the keywords are loaded and categorized, we want to make sure that they have a decent amount of search volume, because if they're not in demand, there's really no point of using them. So to do this, we're going to click on the plus button over here and go to Search Volumes. And we want to make sure that we collect the search volumes for all of the keywords here. Down here, it tells you the amount of time that it's going to take to collect this data and how many credits it's going to cost you. And this is why it's so important that we narrow down your keyword list, since there is a cost associated to the credits. And then you click on Collect Volumes here. So it's just going to take a while to come through, and in the meantime, we will look at the other tabs. Now that the search volumes and trends have been loaded, let's take a look at the Intentions tab. The first thing we see over here is that the feature is available in all of these languages and that the tool auto-categorizes all of the keywords according to their intention. So you can see all the questions that are asked on the search engine with the keywords included in these search terms alongside the search volume for these phrases. With the search volumes here, you can also see the phrases under different categorizations that generate the most traffic. And this is really important, for example, for a transactional page that you have, because then you'll know which phrases to include on there to secure the maximum traffic to that page. This also helps you understand what customers are really asking for on the search engine and what their intention is behind searching for these terms. This feature is really useful when creating a brief for content creators, as you can include all the phrases with high search volumes in there, and also the questions that people are asking to generate the most traffic on your content. So there's an element of real value in the content being created. The most important part of extracting the keyword search volumes is understanding the statistics on them, which we can get by clicking on the Statistics tab here. The first thing we see is the total number of keywords being tracked, the total search volumes of all the keywords, and the average search volume of the keyword list. You also get a graphic representation of the search volumes over a 12-month period, and this is really great because you can visualize the traffic on the keywords as well as find seasonal trends on them. The platform also gives you a breakdown of the search volumes per category, so when you click on any of the categories, the subcategory also appears along with the search volumes, which gives us a hierarchy view of the category's overall performance. And this is helpful because when you find out which categories are generating the highest traffic, you can focus your content more on those topics. You can also look into the search volumes by intention. So in this particular example, we can see that the most traffic is generated from generic searches, which basically tells you that the mass market wants to know who Hugo Boss is, what they sell, and what exactly they can do for them. But of course, these inferences change per intention. We also have a distribution of keywords by category, so just visualizing it like this makes it easier to derive conclusions about the most popular category in one look of the distribution graph, as you can see right here. Finally, we have the distribution by search intention that shows you the most popular intention in terms of traffic, so it looks exactly like the previous one, except it's with intentions. And once you've conducted this analysis of the keyword list, the next step is to create an SEO or PPC audit depending on what you're working on, which I will show you how to do in the next video.